Hello and welcome to Crafting with Jane. Today we're going to make a card using some stamps from a company called Studio 490, and they are an artist called Wendy Vici. She does quite a lot of different things. I'm just going to show you them because then you can see the number. Don't know if they're still available, but they are Wildflower Art. LCS 089 is this one, because we're using this flower and that flower and maybe one of the sentiments. And then for the brick wall, which comes from Graffiti Art, LCS 095. Are they LS? Yes, so they're all different numbers. I've had these a very long time. You can use whatever you want, as I've always said, and I'm using a neutral colour and some blues, so that's my blue for my background. I'm using a positioning tool because I want to get the brickwork completely right, and I've actually, because it goes right the way across, I've just adhered my paper with a little bit of tape runner just in on the back. So I am going to ink this up first. I don't want it to be too dark, so I'm going to take a second generation. So I'm just stamping it, inking it up well, and I'm using, as I say, a neutral. This is Sahara sand. But you can use whatever colours you've got, and I'm going to let me put a piece of scrap in underneath to just, I tried doing it without the positioning tool and then decided I needed it, so hence I stopped and started the video so it wouldn't go on forever. So I'm just going to place this down, and I want to make sure that I get the centre part of it down nicely, and then just pick it up, and that's come out beautifully. Now I can put it down on here because I want it to be quite pale, so I'm literally just giving it a good old press, allowing the ink to soak in nicely, because like everything, it takes a little bit of time for the ink to come in, but I can have a look and see. That's perfect, actually. I don't think I want it any more than that. I might take just a little bit from the top because I want it pale. Okay, so that's given me my background. Now let's hope I can get this, peel it up from the back. Yes, I can. You can see I just put a little bit of positioning tape on there. So that's my background, nice and pale, because that's what I wanted. I could actually have it, doesn't matter which way up, that's going to be perfect. So let me move this out of the way, I'll clean that up afterwards. Excuse me. And I'm going to take this and put that back there so that you've at least got some. Is that going to be distracting? It is actually, isn't it? Let me just get a clean piece. I use copy paper on here because it's the easiest thing to use, and my mat has a little bit of cushioning. Okay, so you can see that's quite pale. And what I want to do now is, I've got these two flowers. The reason I wanted to do it pale was because I didn't want to have to mask the flowers. The flowers are going to be going on top, but that means I can then colour them and add something that makes them look pretty good on there. So I'm going to put this one in first, and I'm just going to ink it up in black because I want it to be stand fairly proud, like that, and then I can put it in, on that side. Like that. Very nice. I do like that stamp. Let me just give it a quick wipe with my rag. Need to clean it off a little bit better, I think, afterwards, but that will do for now. Get the worst off. Then I can put that out out of the way and then get my other one in. And again, I don't want it to, that's perfect. I didn't want it to overlap, and I didn't want to do any masking because I want to make it fairly simple. So that can come like that. And then we're going to use this one in, and I can turn it just a little bit. Obviously this is going to be stuck because I've got that tape just on the back, so I just need to pull it up, make sure I don't have ink on my fingers, and then I'm just going to take this one round on there. Now I've just re-inked my VersaFine because I wanted a really bright image, so I've just got to be a little bit careful until it's dried. But now we've got two beautiful flowers on there, and then I can put my sentiment on, which is going to be, I had a look on one of these, you are most definitely a work of art. Don't know whether I like that or not. What do we have on this side? I think I am going to have you most definitely a work of art. I think that's quite pretty on the flowers, because flowers really are a bit of a work of art, aren't they? So I'm going to take that, and am I going to put it just straight on the top or down on the bottom? That's probably going to come in the way, isn't it? I might have to cut it down a little bit. Let's see. Got a little bit on here. Is that going to fit? Ooh, might. Ooh, might. And that will give the, I'm doing this now, so, oh, just covered my hand in black ink. It will give a chance for the ink to dry, and the only reason is because I've got I've just re-inked it, and so it is quite bright. So let's put this on here. Perfect. So that can come in on here, and I can put that in afterwards once we've finished it. So let's give that a quick wipe. And then that can go in on there. Okay, so now hopefully what we can do is we can just give it a little blot to just make sure that the ink is completely dry. So if I put it on here and just do that over the top of it to blot it, I can see if it has dried or not. And you can see that it hasn't completely. So it's a good job that I did do a bit of blotting, and I'm just going to have to be a little bit careful with my colouring. That it doesn't come over the top. I'm going to have to be very careful with the colouring, but I think I should be all right. I'm just going to have to do little tiny stipply bits because I don't want it to go too much. So we're going to have yellow in the centre, and as I say, I'm doing little dots because I don't want the ink to bleed where it has literally just come in. And then we'll have on here, in fact I'm going to put, have I got a piece of, yes, I can put that down on here. So again, I'm not getting it in the way, and I'm just literally dotting over the top of here so that it doesn't, you can see how it's still a little bit dark on there. What I might do is, let me just take and do something that's going to be a little bit easier than alcohol markers. I'm going to use watercolour markers because they're going to be slightly stronger, and I think that they will work a bit better. So these are Faber-Castell, really nice ones, and we want some yellow and some orange for the center of the flower. So let's use these ones because they will come out nicely. I've got to be careful because, as I say, it's still just a little bit wet on there, but that's a bit better. And I want a little bit of orange on the outside of these as well. Let's make her get the right part of the brush. So if we just go around on the very outside with some orange, it then makes it look quite pretty. Now I want, for the flower, I want it to be blue, don't I? So let me get my blues out, and I've got a rather nice pale blue and a bit of a dark blue. So we'll have the dark blue first, and the dark blue is going to come just down on here, on that part, and then just in on each one of these. I should zoom it in a bit, shouldn't I? Let me just zoom you in a bit so you can see what I'm doing. Whoops, that's made it a bit wobbly. Sorry about making that wobbly. Okay, so I'm going to bring that down a little bit. There we are. I've just got to remember to take the screen out afterwards, but I think I will. So on these ones, I'm just doing it in because the center of the flower is going to be darker, and then I'm taking that pale, the other part, and it means that then I can just take it in. Onto each one of these. So you've got the pale and the light. These are quite nice to colour because they're very fine tipped. Even better if your hands are steady. But I hardly touch the paper at all, so you can get it really quite fine. And then we're going to go down in on this one, and again just take it up. Down into each one of these little petals. There's not much difference between the two actually, so it's not too dark up the top. I'll see if I've got another one that's just a little bit darker. Just take it down to the top like that. Now I'm just looking to see if I've got a darker. That's it. No, it's not quite a dark enough blue, is it? We'll see if that takes it just a little bit darker in on the top. Yes, that'll work. That just gives, can you see how that's giving just a little bit of darkness up near, which just gives that little bit of definition in on there. Right. Okay, so that's the top of the flower. Then all I need to do is to go in with greens. And I've got a couple of nice sort of pale greens in here. I quite like that one. I think that's probably going to be a nice colour. So in here we're literally just taking these down. And I'm going to do half of them in one colour, and then take the other to just again give a little bit of definition to them. So if I put this one on here, you can see this will give another tone. And we can give a little bit on here. Now I could give the stem. I'm not going to do the stem. I'm going to take this back in again and just take that in on here, blend it in a bit more. like that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my aqua painter and just blend some of this in. Now I don't want too much water, so I'm just testing it on the back of my arm first, because I just want just a little bit to just blend these in. Because they're water, it means I can then take them, just blend the colours in together, which just takes them in on the side and gives that nice sort of definition in there. And of course, as they dry, they will come down quite well. So I just need to clean my brush on here, and then I'm just going to do the same on these as well, because then that will just blend those little colours in. And because again the tips of these are very, very fine, it means that I can get the colour in onto the centre, which works quite well. Let's take it on this one. Just brings it down onto the tip without adding too much more. Take that off, and then I can just blend the inside and just blend the top of there. Okay, so that is our, let me take the screen out a bit now, but so you can see it a bit better, and hopefully it's not going to woggle too much. There we are. Let me move that back in. Take that out, which was my paper. There we go. So we have a rather nice blue flower on there. We've got our words, "You are most definitely a work of art." And I think I might just put those straight down in on the bottom there. And I'm going to have it running, I think, from one side to another, because that works quite well, doesn't it? So let me just grab myself. I've got some little scissors here. I'm just going to put a little mark on here rather than cutting it. I could trim it actually, because I know that that's 3.5. Let's trim it rather than being a bit cack-handed with it. So let me just grab my little trimmer in on here, and I'm going to trim this to 3.5, which is the size of my card along there. That can go in like that. Okay, then we're going to put this one in, so that's going to go right the way across on the bottom here like that. And I'm literally just going to, I could put it at the top, but I don't particularly want to have it at the top, just want to have it there. And I'm just going to stick that on with a bit of wet glue. Oh, it's a new one. A bit too much coming out of there, that'll be all right there. I'm just going to put it down on the bottom like that. So that comes in onto the edge. And then that's going to go in, take that off, onto my card base. Like that. And I just want to do, I've got blue on here, I just want to do a few little, which is what I always like to do, to just sort of bring it in together. I need to get my Posca pens to go around the outside of there to save matting it. So I'm just going to take those out. Those are my coloured ones. I had somebody turn around and say, oh, do they do coloured ones? Yes, they do sparkle ones as well. Thinking of getting the sparkle ones. So that's going to go around on there. And then I just need to get some splatters. Now, I'm not very good at doing the splatters with pens and things, but I find it's easier. Now with this, I'm going along the outside edge like that, because I can get it very fine. So you just run it along the edge and then take it this way, put that on there so I don't put that on my hand. Run it along the edge, whoops. The idea was not to make it go over the top, but never mind. That's all right, I can put a little sparkly bit on there. And then I just want to get, bear with me a second. My favourite stamp set of all time is Gorgeous Grunge because of the splats in it. So if you're somebody who's not a very good splatter, like me, just use a splat stamp. Now there are lots of different splat stamps about, so you can use what you want. And I'm going to do it in, am I going to do it in blue, or I'm going to do it in blue, I think, because I don't want it to be too dark. So let me find a fairly palish blue. I don't want it to be too dark. And then this is just going to have some little splatters on there, which will tie it in nicely. And not too many, and just a few down in on the sentiment to just tie that in like that. And that, I think, will work perfectly in on here like that. Nice and simple. And I will probably put just a few little sparkly bits on there because I quite like that. I could sponge around the side. I don't want to. I think that's going to be too much. But that, I think, let's put this with some glue on. Like that, onto our card base. Like that. And then, as I say, I might just add a few little sparkles on there, or even maybe a couple of sequins or something, but I think that that looks a beautiful, very pretty card, fairly simple, but quite effective. So I hope you enjoyed that one. As always, please stay safe and well, please be kind, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.